Good morning and welcome to Japan. It's round 4 of the IFSC Boulder World Cups and we're live in Tokyo. A fascinating mix of the modern and the historic. Tokyo is now officially the biggest city on earth with a population of over 38 million, and it is also home to, believe it or not, 100 climbing gyms. And I think it'd be safe to say the athletes have loved their week here. But before we get on with today's semi-final, here's how yesterday's qualifiers went down. After 2 weeks in China, the IFSC Boulder athletes this week made the relatively short journey over to Japan for their third consecutive weekend of competition and the fourth Boulder World Cup of 2017. Petra Klingler, the reigning world champion, suffered a knee injury earlier this year, but it doesn't seem to be slowing her down. She's finished 9th or better at all the World Cups this season and took 5 tops in today's qualifying round. Stasha Geo got 4 tops this morning and was joint 7th.
Boulders this morning were really nice. It was a lot different than in China because we got to climb on the holds we're used to in Europe. More cheetahs, more flat holds and so on, no more Chinese holds. And it's indoors, which is a lot better for me. Boulders were fun. They were like the style we are quite used to, powerful. I managed to do 4 boulders. I hope it will be enough for semifinals. It was fun, and it was really crowded for qualifications. We're not used to that, and people are cheering. It's good. I can't wait for tomorrow.
Team USA did not have their best day today, with Margot Hayes and Sierra Blair Coyle both missing out on semis, but Megan Mascarenas did make it through, taking 4 tops in 5 attempts. When she really hits form, Megan is a real contender, so keep an eye on her in tomorrow's semi-finals. Monica Recchi made both semis in China and looked strong today. 5 tops in 7 attempts, seeing her through in 7th. Miho Nanaka took 3rd in Japan last year and once again seemed to enjoy climbing at home today. 5 tops, 3 of them flashes, seeing her through easily. Shauna Coxey won in Tokyo last year and took a clean sweep of 5 flashes today. Was that 2016 win giving her some extra confidence?
It doesn't really make me feel more confident. Like every comp I take as it comes. So yeah, like we never know what's going to happen. You don't know what the boulder's going to be. You don't know how you're going to feel. But I felt really good today. So hopefully I can do that again tomorrow. Like climb well again tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. See what the boulders are.
Anna Sturr struggled on Boulder 1 today, but still had enough to go through in joint 15th.
Actually, I had a hard time with the boulders this morning. I had a very bad start on the first one on the slab. It took me 7 attempts. And it is always hard to come back to the right mindset if the first one goes wrong. And yeah, it was tough for me today.
The French female athletes also found today tough, with Fanny Gibert in 17th being their only climber to make the semi-finals, and Flavie Coe, Manon Illy and Mayalise Agrippa all missing out. There were no such worries for the ever-consistent Janja Garnbret though.
The competition is perfect, the venue is okay, the boulders, especially for the qualification round, the boulders are perfect. Yeah, of course, it's a perfect day. Actually, I slipped on the second boulder, or I didn't have the right beta, but yeah, everything is perfect.
This afternoon saw the men take to the stage, with Team Japan being well represented in front of their home crowd, with 22 male Japanese athletes taking part today. 8 of those 22 made it to the semis, including Tomoe Narasaki, winner of the Meiringen World Cup Kokoro Fuji, last week's winner Keita Watabe, and Sakura Hori, who caught everyone's eye today with 5 flashes. Also through, just in 20th, was Germany's David Fernenberg.
This qualification round was actually a flash round, I would say. It is really important to do not so many mistakes and climb the problems real fast. Yeah. The style was pretty technical. Yeah, we had 1 slab and in between like some fingery problems, friction dependent problems, where you had to find a good balance. And we had also 1 powerful problem. Technical, but also powerful, tricky, balancy. Yeah, that's the new style.
Jongwon Chon has looked in imperious form on several occasions this season, and today was one of those. He had a perfect round today, taking 5 flashes to progress in first place. He'll face some stiff competition though, not least from Alexei Rubtsov, who got over the disappointment of missing semis in Nanjing by putting in a strong performance today to go through in joint 5th.
For me it was good qualification. It's body power style. I like this. Some steep, some slab boulders, but style good for me. I made 4 and 4, and I'm sure that I will be in semi-final. This time I'm better prepared than last week in Nanjing, so I hope to fight tomorrow.
Jerne Kruder was looking to back up his podium last week with another strong result today. His 4 tops were not enough, and he missed out on a semi-final spot.
Wow, there's a month-long break. I forgot about that. More than a month. Well, yeah, a month.
In contrast to their female compatriots, France's men had a good day here with 5 athletes through to the semis, including Michael Marwem, who tied for 17th with his teammate Manuel Cordu.
The style of the boulder is very cool for me because we have a lot of volumes and I like that. And the French team, I like volumes, and we have volume block. Technical boulder, jump, the second boulder is the jump. We are crimp in the 4 boulder, we are whole boulder, all style. And that is cool, we like that. The French team, we like that.
Jakob Schubert also liked it, claiming 5 tops.
It's always hard to once you have something that interrupts
just give me a count
shape,
to 10, just check how you're sounding.
Like a flu
1,
or
2,
something.
3, 4, 5, 6.
If you're not at home, you can't really get the confidence as easily as you would at home. You just do the boulders that you have done for I don't know, some months, and you know, oh yeah, okay, I'm back in shape. So it's harder getting that confidence abroad. But I definitely feel strong again, and I mean, we all know how bouldering is. It depends so much how you start into the round, what kind of run you have, how the boulders fit you, but I definitely think I have a chance and a great shot of making finals, yes.
However, it was another disappointing day for Sean McColl, who couldn't add to his 1 semi-final appearance this season. Also struggling this year is Rustam Gelmanov, who is yet to make a semi-final in 2017. And the athletes will be competing on boulders set by a team led by this man, Chris Danielson. Welcome to the live stream. Tell us how your week has been and what we can expect from the boulders today.
It's been a great week. Route setting team, pretty big route setting team. It's about half Japanese guys, and then also a guy from the U.S. and Laurent Laporte from France. It was a super week. It's always I had a great time last year here. Pleasure being back. It's an honor to be in Japan, and so we had a good start yesterday. I think the qualification round was a little bit easy, we might say, but you know, the climbers had fun. We got a ranking a little bit, and yeah, it should be good today.
Yeah, when you're watching the qualifiers, do you watch pretty much every climber, and that really affects what you do for the semi-final?
Especially at the start. You know, they come out based on who's ranked best, so it's really tense for us when it starts because we're waiting to see what the best climbers can do. And, you know, if they start doing things really easily or if they're really struggling, then that can have a big impact on the rest of the field of climbers. But, yeah, I mean, we kind of try to watch everything we can, and we take a look at the ranking and at least get a feeling for the level to see if we make any changes from the semis or the finals.
Just before we carry on, keep an eye on the screen there. This is the current world rankings as things stand after 3 World Cups so far. Remember, we've been in Meiring and Chongqing and Nanjing, and we're now in Tokyo. Round number 4, and it's only week 5 of the season. And Chris, there we go, women's ranking as well. Chris, seems on the wall and from the feedback yesterday that we had quite a varied round. Today, more of the same. We've got some slabs, some steep stuff, some power, technical, bit of everything.
I hope so. I mean, it's certainly one of our goals is try to have a, you know, kind of stylistic diversity. And there's some steep, there's some slab, there's some slightly overhanging walls. The semifinal round is always a hard round, you know, or at least we try to make it a round there where we can really select the finalists. So we hope it'll have a similar feel, maybe stylistic diversity, but we'll see what happens.
And how are the boulders divided I know you oversee, but do you tend to say, right, Lolo and Lauren Laporte, we want you to set a boulder here?
It depends. It depends on the team. It depends on where you are. In this case, like I said, we had a pretty big team, and basically just tried to lay out the map and then go from there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Chris. We've got the start list. Just keep an eye on the screen. Women first. We'll have 20 women and then the 20 men. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think we just try to kind of map out a reasonably good plan based on the profiles. The profiles of the wall are really important. We've got vertical terrain, steep terrain, and usually some slightly overhanging or maybe some arêtes. And we try to plan things out in a way that we know we're going to, the walls will lend themselves towards diversity in the climbing. And then the setters choose what they want to set. We play around, we set, and we most of the work is changing what we put on the wall.
Explain what you mean by that. You mean after you've tested it?
Yeah, especially just after we put it up on the wall. I mean, it might take a couple hours. Sometimes you'll put up a bunch of holds or volumes, and then an hour later you decide this idea doesn't work at all. We want to change it, do something different. So that'll happen, sometimes just by yourself or with another member of the team. Then you start testing. And when you're testing, everything can change. A boulder that starts a certain direction can go a totally different direction, can be too hard, too easy. We try really hard to work on fairness based on the height of the climbers and even stylistically. So most of the work really is just in climbing and making really sort of fine-tuning changes.
And give us an insight into how finely you test the boulders, because every move pretty much is done by one of the route setters.
Yep.
So somebody's done every move. And then within the testing process, does the boulder have to be topped by a route setter, or you just have to know that every move can be done and therefore every move can be linked?
Not at all. Sometimes the boulders will be topped. It depends on the boulders. It depends on the style of the route setters and forerunners or testers, we call them. But that's not really the goal. The goal is for us to try to understand exactly what we can put on the wall and how it will relate to what the climbers can do. So, sometimes we'll climb from start to finish, but that's not really the goal. That's not the point. The point is to try to understand what the level will be. I guess the climbers are about to come out.
They are about to come out. And up first we've got Lily Kiesgen of Germany. Female German athletes had a great day yesterday. Three of them through in today's semi-final. Alma Bestvater, she'll be out a bit later on. And Monica Recchi continues her good form in Asia, made every semi-final here. And David Fernenberg out on men's one. Men's one, interesting boulder. I was on the stage 10 minutes before he came on air.
You were looking at climbing it, I think, Charlie, right?
I actually topped it.
You did?
Yeah, just in my trainers. Yeah. I nearly got off the floor, but. The move to the right, we'll see it in a second. The move over to the right, is that both hands at the same time? Do you lead with the right, then stop, or go with the left?
It depends on the style. The first climb for the men's is really technical, slabby, a lot of power too. The women's is straight power, so they're really different styles when they start out. And when you're for the men, just have to be standing on your feet. For the women, it's all about kind of holding on, pulling hard.
See, good start for both climbers, particularly Lily, heading up towards possible early top.
And David, too, is maybe trying to pull over the slab here. This is
that
one of the hardest parts.
So this is the move I meant. So you'd lead with the right hand onto which volume? Would you think you'll palm down on the lower one?
There's a couple different ways. Probably not going to go low. There's a couple different ways to grab this volume with the light blue and the wood color underneath. You can pull it as a Gaston first, or try to wrap it, or push under on it. But most of what's happening is you're standing on your feet. You're just having to try to take the balance the right way.
Yeah, early top there from Lily. By the way, if you would like to see all the boulders today, you can choose our alternative stream. And we have two fixed cameras, one of them looking at the left-hand side of the wall and one of them looking at the right-hand side of the wall. And they will be one above the other on the alternative live stream. Of course, if you've got two streams, you can watch both at the same time. Watch us and all 8 boulders. Yes, so an early top there from Lily. Is this one of the toughest moments for you as a route setter, watching the climbers come out?
The thing is, there's nothing we can do at this point. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but we just try to do our best, find the level the best we can, and once the climbers start climbing, it's not in our control anymore, really. It's in their control. So all we do is learn as we watch. We learn from each round. And so the women's first boulder, we did imagine it would be one of the easier ones in the round, but we'll see. Does everyone flash it? Is it harder for some climbers? We won't be sure.
And this men's one, we've got these simple holds, the dual texture. The white bit has essentially no friction. I've never seen at a competition so many different holds available to you guys to set with.
We had a lot of diversity, for sure. A lot of diversity with the volumes, the holds as well. This boulder is a good example of it. It's got these dual textured volumes with hard texture to smear on, really bad sloping crimps, and these really unique Japanese-made volumes on the right side. These last three kind of shapes with the blue teal color and the wood.
Yeah, they're beautiful close up.
They really are. It's like a piece of art.
So we saw David stabbing across with the right foot there. What do you think is, particularly for someone his height, is quite tall compared to some of the boulders, what do you think is the best beater for David?
It's hard to say. I mean, even, in general, maybe climbers of a certain height will have similar styles, but I think it's really hard to say what people will do. The bottom line is you got to be on your feet and in the right body position, and most likely if you're going fast, it's not the way.
35 seconds to go for David. Remember, the climbers have 5 minutes. Then they go back into the transition zone, behind the wall for 5 minutes, come back out, boulder 2, 5 minutes back in, boulder 3.
He looks like he's getting the right, I was going to say he's getting the right method. You want to push down on that blue volume with your right hand and sort of pull your foot over. And he had it right the first try. Sometimes that's what happens. You feel it right, but then you slip, and I'm sure that tests the climber's nerves.
How much are you thinking about psychology when you're setting these? You're just saying it tests their nerves. Is it something you really think, we really want to mess with their head a little bit on this boulder?
No, we're not trying to mess with them. We're trying to test them. And I think one of the ways we do that is the order of the problems, and even stylistically, which type of problem comes first, how hard the problems are, how hard we imagine they will be to the competitors. That can do a lot. If as we see in the qualification yesterday, the slab, the first boulder was a slab for both the men and the women, and it wasn't too hard. It was something a lot of people could top. We think everybody had the potential to top it, and that gives you a different feeling than if you start with something really tricky or hard. So a lot depends on what the order of the climbs is and the style.
Two interesting climbers out now, Jane Kim on the left and Gabriele Moroni on the right. Both very familiar with various different styles of climbing. Jane Kim best known for her lead.
And Jane Kim, am I right that did she just make final?
Yes, she made the final last week in Nanjing.
That's right.
And just keep an eye on Gabriele Moroni here.
Yeah, I think Gabri's pretty good on the slabs. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's a climber who can really do everything. Indoor, outdoor, boulder, lead. We don't see him at every World Cup. It's very consistent when we do see him. Yeah, I was about to say about Jane Kim, just luck of the draw, but it seemed like Nasoik in Nanjing just wasn't suited to her style. She's relatively small. We know she likes to climb quite statically, and she just...
This problem is built for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was about to say,
she definitely knows how to climb a problem like this, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say last week, perhaps not to her taste, but this boulder in particular certainly seems to be.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see what happens from round to round, because we're certainly trying to test the climbers in as many ways as we can. Diversity is kind of important, but that happens from one round to the next too. We just see Jane Kim just falling on the top. The thing about this problem, like I said when we were starting, I think for some climbers, the really powerful climbers that have also good power endurance, they'll go to the top maybe easily. But if you don't, it takes a lot out of you. And so we'll see what happens. I would be surprised if Jane Kim doesn't top it. I think she can. But we see it's not as easy as the first climber made it look.
So Gabriele back on to men's 1.
Gabri's a fun climber to watch. He was in the U.S. This fall for a few months, and he climbed in a couple competitions we had and put on a great show. Like you said, he's just kind of got it all. He can do all things.
Some people can just climb. I remember talking to, it's a terrible name drop of course, but I'm talking to Adam Ondra, and he said, I can just climb. I just know how to climb. And Gabriele's one of those guys where it doesn't matter so much what the medium is, he can just do it. He's doing pretty well here on men's 1. No top for David Fernenberg.
Yeah, this looks promising for sure. It's still staying on your feet, and that left foot is super important.
And went quickly and just about held it. It's not in the bag just yet. Needs to transfer the left hand.
There it is.
There we go. Top for Gabriele. As I say, we don't see him at every World Cup, but certainly stranger things have happened than him making an appearance in the final. Constrat and Jane Kim, 1 minute 10 left for her. See that slow style.
She's just so strong.
You can see that in the way she's hanging on that right heel hook. I mean, most people can barely get anything out of a heel hook. It's like having another arm.
If you look at her right hand, most people, climbers who climb in the gym a lot, what she's holding on to is what we'd call a foothold, basically. So close. That last move takes a bit of power.
It looks like she's hitting the sweet spot on the hold. I think that might be it for Jane Kim. Yep, the Jane Kim sandals go back on. 20 seconds left. Got a question on Twitter. Don't forget, you can get in touch. Hashtag IFSCWC on Twitter. If you've got a question for IFSC Chief Route Setter this week, Chris Danielson. If you're up in Europe, my respect. 2:30 in the morning. Jem Leifrit would like to know, Chris, this is
I don't know what's going to happen here.
What is your prediction for the result tonight?
Oh, no chance. No chance. We really try to get a feeling for what what will happen in the competition, what the climbers can do, but it's always generalized. It's hard to try to say who's going to do this or who's going to do that. So I can't pick a winner. I can't even pick finalists at this point, because hopefully we've tried to make the round diverse enough too that a lot of people have a chance.
It's a good question, Jem Leifrit, but it was always a long shot getting the chief route setter to predict the finalists.
That's going to be
and
a
the winner.
one.
Good try though, but Chris is it's not his first rodeo. A bit too savvy for that. So first look at women's 2 and men's 2. Lily back out again. Team Germany climbing together on that rotation. Lily and David.
So you can see we kind of switched profiles now. So the women were just on the really steep terrain on the first problem, and now kind of moves to a bit more technical slab in the start of this next. And with the men, and Mikem Oem is really close. He's got to get that foot.
He said yesterday in our interview that we just saw it from the qualifications, he does like volumes, the French team like volumes. Doesn't look as if he's enjoying that volume too much right now. Franziska Stera, there she is, Team Austria. Also not too bad a day for them. Anna Sturr safely through. She'll be climbing in 3 climbers. She's out 6th today.
Oh.
It's about as close as you can get. I think he's Mikhail might be checking. I thought he was potentially wondering if he might have been awarded a top there. We shall see.
It looked very close.
It looks, he's still on the mats and the boulder's being clean, so I suspect he's not going to claim that. And he'll have another go. David Fernenberg, men's 2. This is a really interesting boulder. Talk about simplicity defined. What is the technique for those two symmetrical volumes?
I think it'll be different techniques for different climbers. The main technique is to find your way through them, putting both hands in the crack and both feet eventually. I mean, it's not really crack climb. It's pretty wide open.
It looked from the ground it's too wide to jam in any way.
I mean,
never say
I'm
never.
not a crack climber, honestly. Maybe somebody could figure out how to jam it, but that's not how I envisioned it would be climbed.
Just so you know, Mikael Marwem is back on the mat. Seems to have accepted that wasn't the top. It's pretty close. Yeah, and women's too, you were saying quite technical. It's a bit steeper than it looks on the camera, that section of wall. Vaguely overhanging on the left, slightly more on the right. Here goes Mikael again. Really battling with that start hole. Remember the left-hand side of the volume, can't quite see it there, that blue volume. There's a white strip, that is no friction at all, so you can't quite toe hook.
Yeah, I was also watching David on the, and then Lily getting up high. She's doing well. She did, flashed first boulder, just kind of fell towards the end here on the second. Let's see what she can do at this try.
So talk us through this. She'll lead with the right hand, so that lower hold there.
Yeah, that's a tricky move. There's a few different options. You can maybe just hold it the way she had with one hand. You can follow through with the left hand and to the hold just above it. And if you're really strong, you can probably keep the left hand that you're moving off of. David is going to get up into the crack here on number 2. He had it, I think, a second ago. Wow. But he had it with his left hand. And I think maybe there's a way to figure out how to climb through it that way, but I think you want to get up first with your right.
A bit like we saw in the first boulder with David, it seems like the early attempts were slightly better. Perhaps questioning his methods, perhaps?
Again, that's kind of, I think, what you have to imagine affects the climber as they move through the round, too. So same thing for Mikael here. He was so close on that first try, just slipped off the end, and now what's going to happen next is what's interesting. Can he pull it back together and keep climbing really well, or does the fact that he got tested a little bit there get in his head? It's hard to say.
Well, we've had Team Germany, now on to Team France. Fanny Gibert there, women's 1, and Manuel Cornu, men's 1. Not a great day for the French women yesterday. Fanny, their only representative in the semi-finals. Better day for the men, though. Manu, the first of 4 French climbers in the men's semi-final. Sorry, the second we've already had.
Yeah, okay. I think it's something like maybe
second
it was
of 4.
7 or 8 Japanese and maybe 4. Yeah, 4 French guys.
Yeah, 8.
More than half the field, Japanese and French.
Yeah, 8 male Japanese athletes through. They had 22 male Japanese athletes in the qualifiers yesterday and 20 women. Very well represented, as you'd expect.
Looks like Gabri down in the corner there, no problem on the first move, number 2, and Manu looking good on the slab.
Remember, there is an alternative stream on YouTube. You can watch one or both, where you can see the whole wall. You can see all 8 boulders at the same time with our fixed cameras. Let's keep an eye on Manu. Looks relatively in control, just inching the right hand across. I guess with that right hand you want it pretty much as far as possible while still having a full hand of hold.
The hard part is you got to trust your feet. You put too much weight on the left hand and you're not trusting your feet enough. You go too fast like that, it's going to be hard to hold on.
It's hard to figure out the angles from where our camera is, but how possible is it to dab the right foot as you go for the top hold on the blank white wall?
Definitely possible. Yeah, that we play a lot in setting. Jane Kim's about to go here for the. This is also possible. You can press into the volume, use it as kind of an intermediate, and then pop up, but it's hard.
Jane Kim goes for the jump. No, she never really looked convinced that was the way to do it. Interesting. I suspect that method you just mentioned, much as it may be, in inverted commas, harder, maybe better suited to her. Let's have a look at Gabriele.
I think the hard, one of the things we try to present to the climbers is just maybe some unknowns, and I think that's what's going on here on men's number 2. It's like you asked, look at these 2 big, big features. How would you climb through them? It's not obvious what the sequence is, and with the first couple climbers, that's what we're seeing. They're not quite sure what to do.
Just over 2 minutes left for Manu. Very promising attempt earlier on.
This looks good again too. I think if he can stay a little bit slower, more on the feet, stay close into the wall, maybe he can take this finish.
Again, looking.
Yeah, the hard part is you want to try to move as much of your body over to the right before you're putting too much weight on the underclinging part of that hold, and it's just hard to know until you're actually climbing on it.
So here is Jane Kim. Saw her attempting this next move about a minute ago. Looks like she's lining up for the jump once again. It looks from below as if that pinch is slightly better higher up. As if can you get onto the top and then drop onto the sweet spot?
It's kind of good in the middle. You do have to hit it right, as we saw with Lily too. I think she was on the good part of the hold, but it's just a hard move to hold on to.
Manu, he's got 1 minute. This boulder topped earlier on by Gabriele Moroni, second go. Now he'll have time for at least one more go. I suspect it'll be one more go. I know it's relatively low angle terrain, but this boulder, it looks as if it's taking a bit physically as well. It's not
exactly.
It's not just technical.
Yeah, no, it's on, like I said, it's on your feet, but it's really on your whole body.
And Manu, we've seen it with just about every climber apart from Gabriele Moroni. Seems like the first attempt's better than the latter ones. Jane goes again.
Oh, that looks better. Only 10 seconds left, though. That's not going to be enough.
And no top for Manu. I think he knows that first attempt was the one. Megan Mascarenhas out. We just caught a glimpse of her very fetching purple trousers. The first Japanese climber in the men's competition. There he is, Tetsu Ishimatsu. It's also our first chance to see men's 3 and women's 3. And now with perfect timing, David and Lily. So this men's boulder 3 looks fairly physical.
Yeah, I'd say it's like technical power. It's there's definitely body position. It's important to it, but you got to be strong too. It's not, the wall's not that overhanging, but you have to take the right positions and keep your balance well too. And on the women's, it's more just straight power with a little bit of a risky jump. See Megan here going for a little alternative method there with turning out to go to the jug. This problem should suit Megan pretty well, I think. She can climb, slow and steady, kind of like Jane Kim. I think the question is whether or not she can take this left pinch, next hold, and maybe hold on for the finish.
Yeah, that was the hold we were talking about with Jane Kim. It's essentially a foothold. Jane held it, and Megan goes for the top. She seems to be hitting the sweet spot. Now
there
she gets it. Just got to match. Easier said than done.
Oh, she's close. Oh.
It's not an easy position to find for that top.
I think just out of the frame there, Manu Cornu was up high on the crack climb too.
Mikael.
I'm sorry, Mikael Moen. You're right, sorry.
He is. Yes, we didn't have a camera on him at the time. He's heading back in. So let's just double check. Yeah, top, and not only a top, a flash for Mikael. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that. We're taking our pictures this week from Japanese TV. We're hoping that the local director will provide us with a replay. There's our split screen I was mentioning earlier. You can watch that instead of us or alongside us on YouTube. So you can see there on the right, men's and women's 1 on the top screen, and on the left of the top screen, 2 and 3. Bottom right, men's 3, women's 3, bottom left, women's 4, men's 4. Got a good, another good question for you on Twitter, Chris. G. Sigums. Honestly, people with John Smith Twitter handle never seem to get involved. It's always one that stumps me. Please send some pronunciation guidelines with your questions. But G. Sigums pointed out that 2 of the 6 women finalists in Nanjing were relatively small. I assume he means Jane Kim and Meiko Taki. Do you adjust the boulders beforehand based on the finalist styles and height? So,
no, we really set. I mean, the finals are often the first thing we set. The finals are the semifinals. So, you know, those boulder problems were set almost a week ago now, 4 or 5 days ago. And we make small adjustments, but we set them so they would be as fair as possible for all the climbers that could make it to each round. So it's rare that we're going to do anything to change them based on who's in the final. You know, our goal is to try to give everybody a chance, regardless of who's in the final. Megan looks up high. Oh, she's so close on the top.
good question, but as you say, these boulders have been set for a while. Minor tweaks made after the semi-finals, I guess, but not the essential nature of each boulder. So first, good look at Francesca Sterra on women's 2.
That's the hard way.
Latches it nicely. Never really looked in doubt. She should bring it home pretty easily, and does. So top on men's 2 for Mikhail. Flash, no less. Top for Francisca on women's 2. David Fernenberg, 12 seconds to go. Black and white hold, you can see top left, that's dual texture. There's not much of it that's that useful. The white section completely useless. I believe we've got a replay of Mikhail Marwen. We can see him here. So this was a flash from him, first time, heading up for the symmetrical volumes.
That's the method.
So you lead with the right hand and then try and control with the shoulder.
That's right. And then you just have to get kind of both hands a bit further out, get the foot up, try and turn into the left volume with your right hand. And it's not an easy finish either.
So we can see him doing it perfectly. Gaston just working his way up the crack. And then the top out. There we go. Smooth as you like.
There you go.
We can't quite see it from here, but there are no footholds on those volumes, right? You're just using the friction of the volume.
That's right. Even this match of this finish is a bit hard. Yeah, he cruised it.
Did cruise it. You might be able to hear now a bit more noise than the local crowd. That's because Tomoe Narasaki is out. He's on all the promotional posters for the event here in Hachioji-Tokyo. He was swamped by media yesterday. It's not something we're used to seeing at IFSC World Cups. It's more like a football World Cup, a soccer World Cup for Americans. Must have been 20 film crews trying to get hold of him yesterday.
It is wild here with the media attention. It's impressive.
I think
Jane Kim's up high here. Sorry to interrupt
there,
Charlie. That's a hard finish. No problem. That's the thing, you never know which climbers are going to do what. You know, I might have thought, okay, Jane Kim has a good chance at the number 1, but that was hard. Maybe the number 3 was easier. Fanny Gilbert, I think, just topped number 2.
She did. Gabriele Moroni there, we see. He's out on men's 3. Top as well for Manuel Cornu.
And top for Tomoe.
All going early on in this semi-final here in Tokyo. Got a big crowd as well. Today is a sellout at the venue, 3,000 capacity. Not everyone taking their seats. You buy a ticket for the day, and all the day tickets were gone. But pretty much the whole of the area in front of the stage already full. The event has been very well covered here. It's not often you arrive at the venue an hour and a half before the action begins and there's a queue outside of the public waiting to get in. It's felt a huge event this week.
Looks like Gabri about to start men's 3 here. This boulder is interesting because it's mostly on just slightly overhanging terrain, but the beginning is super powerful on this little roof. Makes this look super easy.
So again, that big blue volume where it's just simple, no use trying to grab the or palm or smear on the white section of the hold. Again, we've just got a replay for you. Just see Anna Sturr. Let's have another look. So this is Fanny Gibert on the left. Manuel Cornu, centre of the screen. That was him topping out men's 2. Anna Sturr, who yesterday in the qualifiers, I thought, apart from on boulder 1, looked quite in control, and we spoke to her afterwards, and she said she really struggled.
Yeah, I think she had a lot of attempts, and many of them just on the first slab.
Yes,
like
7 attempts at first slab.
7, yeah. And in this case, I mean, she's got a minute left. She still certainly has the chance to do the boulder, but it takes a lot out of you, physically and mentally. So we'll see what can happen if she can do the problem, or whether she can or not, if she can also recover in the round.
Yeah, 7 attempts on the slab, but as I say, after that she looked, to me, fairly comfortable, but apparently not. Anyway, Gabriele Moroni. Cracking start to the semi-final for him. Got the first boulder on his second attempt. Takes the bonus. Went straight for the top. That hold he's choosing to skip out. Is that another dual texture hold?
It is, yeah. It's kind of a sloping undercling pinch, and it's really the whole top of that problem is really about tension. You've got to keep tension in the feet, go slow, powerful. Use the strength to stay inside the wall, and that last effort he had trying to just jump to the finish. Maybe somebody can do it, but that's really hard.
So we've now got climbers on all 4 boulders. Lily and David of Team Germany, you can see there, the bottom left. Our first chance to see women's 4 and men's 4. And also Sol Sarr is out. Nico Ditto, Nicolas Pelosson of France. The third of 4 French male climbers in the semi-final. Jeremy Bondo still to come. He'll be climbing 13th. The climbers coming in reverse order of how they qualified. If you qualify first, you climb last in the semi-final. So women's 1, after all that exertion, women's 4, they finally get a slab.
They finally get a slab.
Probably a very welcome sight. So, Tasei Ishimatsu, ends 2. Palming that left volume. Now he is going for the jam. No, he's not.
Another top on the slab. And on number 2. Mikael Mawem is high on number 3.
Keep an eye on Mikael Mawem. You just caught a glimpse, and there he is. Again going straight for the top. It's just while we've got a shot of the 4th boulders. Here we go. Women's 4, a very aesthetically simple boulder. It's just a case of inching your way up those 3 red volumes.
Yeah, it's like you said. At the end you have a slab. In this one, it's not all on your feet. It is at the start. It's a bit of balance for sure to get through the first section, but once you're into those big red volumes, it's a bit physical as well. You have to kind of figure out a way to turn your body from the left to the right, and it looks like, I think it's Lily there, she was close but just couldn't figure out the way to do it.
So here we go. Here is our top from Nicolas Pelosson, and also Tasei Men's 2. And almost Solsar joining the party. So Francisca, we saw her making pretty light work of women's 2, which Megan's currently on. Very distinctive climbing pants from Megan. She's lining up the jump as well. Looked as if she could just do with another millisecond of hang time, or slightly higher with the jump.
Yeah, it's a bit about timing. Here we are back on number 4. So she's got to figure out this is the way. You got to do that, but go a bit slower. I think you want to keep the body a bit lower, and try and sort of power turn.
Do you also keep the body right for a bit longer before you begin to turn left, or is it kind of simultaneously as you go with the hand?
Maybe right and lower. So you want to have your right hand on that high volume, but not commit to turning until you're pushing with your left. So up high here.
Lining it up, that's the hole she's going for.
There it is. Can she match? Looks promising.
It's very promising. Hip flexibility paying dividends. Top for her. Her partner Jongwon Chon looked absolutely extraordinary yesterday. 5 flashes on 5 boulders.
We see David Fernberg high up here on men's 4.
That's a better angle.
Nice.
Again, dual texture holes, those green ones, the right hand side of them, the shiny side, pretty much useless. Just trying to toe hook it. Nicely done from David. That's what I was talking about, the dual texture. You try and push off it, you're not going to get much. You toe hook it, you might get some joy, and he cert proof for David. Well, it looks like you guys have definitely given him a good workout.
Let's see if Megan can make her way up to the pinch this time.
Yeah, she was close. Half a second where it looked like she had it.
It's an interesting move because you kind of have to take it the right way with the right timing. Maybe a little bit higher, with not just with her hand, but kind of with the body going up at the same time.
4 seconds left. Chris, I know you need to head off soon, but we do have a couple of questions for you. Have a couple more minutes, thank you.
Sure.
Carolyn has a question. Thank you, Carolyn. Nice, simple Twitter handle. More of the same, please. She's a similar question but to earlier. How much diversity is there on the setting team, and how do you use your setting team to test for different climbing styles?
That's a great question. Well, there's 3 IFSC official route setters. So myself as the chief route setter, Gen Hirashima from Japan, and then Laurent Laporte, and then also a team of 3 other Japanese guys, and then we have an exchange with the Japanese setter. So this year a U.S. setter came to Japan, and we'll have a Japanese setter in Vail. So there's great diversity in the team in general, and certainly we're trying, to make that happen. See a quick top on number 2 from Tumoa, no problem. So there's diversity in the team, and then we try to use that a bit in what we're doing with the setting itself.
Here's Kokoro Fuji won the first event in Meiringen. Making a good start. Onto the bonus, but not the top.
One of the things about Fanny's up here high on number 3.
Ellie Fanny. Nice, top from Fanny. A question from Charles Morland as well. Do the wood volumes have any texture at all?
Well, they have the texture of wood, so in a way,
I think it means friction.
But a bit. It's different. It's sometimes you're taking like a sand-like texture on a volume or a climbing hold, and it's not as though wood. You can still use it. It's not like dual texture, totally slick like glass, but maybe it takes a bit more stickiness to hold. Gabri up high at number 4. Wow, nice. Oh, so close.
That foothold he's on is, again, it's very much a foothold. It's tiny, hey?
Yeah, and that's one of the things we made a couple small refinements last night after the qualification round, and it's amazing how how small a change can affect what the climbers can do. You know, just a millimeter of angle change or, you know, different profile of a foot or a hand makes a huge difference.
Just saw there Koro, Namor Kornu, just pondering men's 3. Last question for you, Chris, before we lose you. Katie Edwards, she'd like to know, how long does it take to create the boulder problems?
So in total, let's see, there's 28 boulder problems, is that right? 28? No, 36. There's 10 qualification for each gender, so that's 20. Then there's a semifinal round and a final round. So that's, and you know, we start on, usually we have 5 days of setting. If you break that down, you know, each boulder you might imagine taking 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours, but sometimes it's really fast, maybe just a couple hours, you set, it works. Oh, no, oh, so close for Mana. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's really fast. Sometimes, you know, one move can take 4 hours to figure out. So it totally depends, and it's all about trying to just kind of get the right refinements to find the right level for the climbers, and that stylistic diversity I was going for before.
But generally, your week is you'll set the semis and finals earlier on, and then qualifiers.
That's right. Yeah. So we set the semis and the finals first. We test them. You know, at least we try to imagine different options. I try to anyhow, to figure out, you know, what we see from the qualification. Maybe we make something easier or harder. Same from the semis to the finals. But yeah, it depends. It's different for different route setters, I think, and it's different with different teams. Some guys are really fast. I'm not one of them. I'm not the fastest setter. But I think it's a matter of trying to refine the best you can, and that's about teamwork. So you start out, you set, you play on the boulders a bit, you try to find some options and think about what the climbers are going to do, how they're going to feel. Kokoro doesn't look like he felt too good up there on the slab.
Katie, we made a video last week in Nanjing with Chief Route Setter Matthias Wojcik. That's on the IFSC Facebook page. Have a scroll down, and he talks a bit more about what Chris was just talking about how the week is for the route setters. But good question. Thank you very much.
10 seconds for Anna.
This is tense. Anna Storr just trying to figure it out. She'll use all her time. Plenty of experience.
Oh, so close.
Just doesn't quite have time. But Chris, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you coming to talk to us. And
no problem, Charlie. Thanks.
Perhaps if you don't have too much work before the finals, you might have time to come and talk us through the final.
We'll see how it goes. So far, the semi looks pretty good. We'll definitely have a lot of work ahead of us. But yeah, I appreciate it. Good to talk with you.
Thank you very much. And I hope we can see you in the final. But I know you're a busy man. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thanks, Charlie.
So there we have Tyler Landman, closest to the camera. We're about to have a tactical substitution in the commentary box. Chris Danielson is head route setter. Likes to watch as much of the action close up as possible, but I managed to negotiate with him and get him to watch the first rotation of climbers so he could talk us through each boulder, but now he's headed off down the front of the stage to try and extract the fine details. Decide what changes need to be made for the final. Possible top here on men's 3. Tassay gets it. First top on men's 3. Just confirm how many attempts that took. It was a flash from Tassay. Marwem on the slab, no bother, 3 minutes to go. And we've had a substitution in the commentary box, substitution complete. Keep an eye on Megan Mascarenis. We've got Oren Coley, Team GB alongside me. Oren, you've been watching climbers on the boulders. First thoughts on the round?
Well, they're looking a lot less dynamic than last weekend, that's for sure. There was a whole lot of jumps going on. There's a lot more pulling on volumes, crimps, and more complex climbing rather than the more modern style of today.
Yeah, we had a very dynamic round last week in Nanjing, Tokyo. I guess you could call it maybe more traditional style climbing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was talking to Ty Landman, who's still on men's one now, last weekend, and it's not his favourite style, the dynamic stuff. He's not best known for that. So I think people like him are going to be looking forward to that a lot more.
Interesting there. We've had a few issues in recent World Cups with tops. But yes, Hung Ying Lee, successful on women's one. Here is Tyler. He's a man certainly capable of making finals on his day.
For sure. I mean, if the set suits him, he's definitely capable. I mean, he's done it plenty of times. It's just he needs those good climbs that suit him, really, like everybody.
Yeah, number one seems to seat him down to the ground. Number three seeming to suit Megan Mascarenis. Chris Danielson, chief route setter here in Tokyo, was just telling us that this move to the top, not that easy. The tops we've seen, they've all made it look relatively easy. Megan looked like it was in the balance for a second or so. But yeah, that move's not looked as hard as perhaps the route setters were expecting it to look.
Yeah, I suppose the bit of wall, it's quite overhanging there as well. The holds aren't as good as they might necessarily look. So it's just, if you're able to pull, I suppose you got it down, really.
Just saw Sol Sa there, a bit like Anna Stohr 5 minutes ago. Able to get near the top hold, not quite able to latch it. We have a new rotation. It's at that stage in the middle of the semi-final where it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on. 8 climbers all on simultaneously. Petra Klingler, world champion from Paris in September last year. Heavy strapping on the left elbow. We saw Petra after the qualifying yesterday. She didn't report any problems.
It's quite a long season to go for. I mean, a lot of the athletes have been out for 3 weeks now, competing, training. Everyone's starting to feel a bit tired and bruised, I reckon.
It could just be a niggle. It's going to be one of the interesting features of this semi-final, particularly. I think we might get one or two surprise results because it's not an isolated event, this World Cup. It's 3 weeks back-to-back, different food, different hotels. And I think we could throw in some surprise results. Who's coped best with the travel and the changes could really affect it.
Definitely. I mean, I know a lot of people are quite happy to be here in Tokyo. China's amazing, but it's such a different environment. It's the food, the living, it's all, you've got to be a bit more careful with what you do and how you go about things. So, I mean, a few people got ill a couple of weeks ago, and even here a few of the athletes have been getting ill. Just being somewhere else, different foods, it takes its toll on you.
Yeah, it does, and it's small details. I mean, I don't have to perform in a World Cup, but it's the little things like the fact that you can drink the water out of the taps here. Life is just, it's more Western in style.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It was super fun being in China for a couple of weeks, but it is such a contrast, more so I think than Japan from the West. As I say, I think we might see 1 or 2 surprise results as climbers deal better or worse with the travel, the hotels and the food. Fanny Gibes enjoyed her trip to Asia, and this looks very promising for her on women's 4. Top for Fanny Gibes. We'll just wait for her score to update, tell you how many attempts that took. A flash from Fanny, that was her 3rd one of the round. 3 tops, 3 flashes from her, and she also flashed the bonus hold on women's 1. And we'll corner on 4 to Moa Narasaki, men's 3. The top's coming thick and fast here. Anna Stor there in the background. And also just behind women's 2. And that is a top for Keita Watabe, last week's winner. Keep an eye on the top of your screen. Here come the results there to confirm Fanny Gibert. 3 tops, all of them flashes. 4 bonuses, all of them flashes. And that's a very healthy lead for Fanny Gibert. Nobody else in the women's side with 2 tops just yet.
See the Japanese team and the men's are still storming ahead, all in the top 5 -1. They're very dominant this year.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about the IFSC Facebook page. We had a really interesting interview with Takako Hoshi, who's one of their lead coaches, about just why they're having such a good couple of years, why Japanese climbing is so strong. So check that out. We put that on yesterday afternoon. Anna Stor heading for women's 3. So all the climbers that we've seen have topped from here, and Anna adds her name to the list. She said yesterday she struggles mentally if she finds a boulder hard to then move on to the next one. And after that struggle on women's 2 where she nearly topped but couldn't quite, and wondered if that might be a problem, but no, top on number 3 for her. Manu looks getting a bit frustrated. I think he knows he can top this. It's just a case of figuring it out.
I think looking at that climb, it's the sort, you know, all the holds that we've climbed on a lot of the holds before, and they're all pretty good. It's just the angles, it's hot up there as well. They're going to feel pretty greasy, and it's just going to be sliding off. It's not something you can easily control.
Petra, as ever, climbing with a smile on her face, but not getting on with women's 1, and it looks like that will be her last attempt. So here's Manu. 20 seconds to go. It's not actually that long because you need to move nice and controlled and in balance. Or you just grab it, but he's not done yet. It's not done till he matches.
It was an incredible flick with his hands there.
Yeah, we saw it from Gabriele Moroni, and the foothold that he's balancing on, Chris Danielson was saying, is absolutely tiny. Very hard to keep in balance while you're doing something as dynamic as that, but Manu pulls it off. I was thinking he would just gingerly, slowly move his way up, but no, flies up. So Jakob Schubert is out. We're now into the top half of this semi-final. 20 climbers in the men, 20 in the women. Climbing in reverse order of how they qualified, and they're closest to Clemmer. Chloe Collier of Belgium. We were on the same flight as Chloe over here from Nanjing. Had a bit of a nightmare. There was bad weather in Tokyo and we got diverted to Nagano. Eventually made it up.
I think a lot of people had issues with their flights getting here.
Yeah, we were told there was bad weather in Tokyo when all the flights were due to arrive. It was hard to believe because we arrived under blue skies, but I think just before they'd had an extremely heavy thunderstorm. So yeah, we had an hour on the tarmac in Nagano. It was a bit of a long travel day for us and for Chloe.
See Megan teetering across on the slab for women's 4 now.
Nicolas Pelosson, we didn't see much of him on men's 2, top men's 1. And on women's 2, Hung Ying Lee, Taipei. Just inching her way up. Now this is the jump. She'll probably need to set that right foot a bit higher. She does. And I was about to say made it with ease. She is a bit taller than some of the climbers we've seen attempting that move, like Jane Kim. Just seemed to lose her balance, rotated out from the wall.
See a lot of the women on women's 1 now are switching their beta up a bit. It's going to the bonus and then moving on again, trying to get that high heel.
Let's have a look at Megan on women's 4. When you come out and you try a boulder and you don't get it after a couple of attempts, how do you decide whether to try a new beta? Is it just on how the attempts felt, or do you maybe come out and look at a boulder and think of there's maybe 2 ways of doing it, I'll try this way first and then I'll try the other way?
I suppose it's quite different for everybody. For me, I often try lots of different ways. Maybe that's why I fall off quite a lot. But it's if you're confident and you know what you're doing, you often don't have to try different ways. You can just keep going because you know you're doing it right. But some people will often try and go for different ways if maybe it doesn't work once or twice. You've only got 5 minutes. It's not a long time to try and figure out lots of different beta constantly.
Very close from Hung-Ying Lee. Again, that move, she seems like she's getting the hold, and it's not a bad hold by the standards of World Cup semi-finals. Just not quite able to stay on it. Here's Tai Lanmin, top number 1.
The tactical knee there.
Yeah, the winter knee sees some indoor use. Tai, this looks very promising indeed. Just need to hold the position. Just needed to rotate that right knee inwards. It looked like he might just pivot off as he went for the top, but he figured it out. Saw Jakob Schubert there just dropping off men's 1. You enjoyed yesterday. We saw on the highlights that were on YouTube and also at the start of our semi-final broadcast. Jakob went down with some pretty mean flu, and China seems to be fully recovered.
Chloe making that last move look really easy. Seen a lot of women fall off fumbling that hold, and just straight up, no drama.
Yeah, very low key. It's quite a low key character.
Yeah,
it was a low key attempt. Just quietly gets on with her business. So slight pause here as the middle 2 boulders on the screen there just get freed up. Hung-Ying Lee obviously nailed that move. We didn't see it. Now she's just got to figure out the top. She's got 40 seconds. She won't want to have to do that lower jump move again, so she'll want this.
That last move's giving quite a lot of people trouble again.
Yeah, it's just a case of figuring out how to get far enough right. If you keep the left foot on, it's then hard because your knee comes into your chest, so you've kind of got to drop that left foot out of the way, but then you're not getting anything out of it. This looks slightly more promising.
That kicking it with her foot there?
That was, yeah, I think she was possibly going to try and toe hook and leave her onto it.
When in doubt, invert out.
Good saying. So Megan doesn't get on with number 4. So let's bring you up to date with the results. See. Stage full once again, just to let you know it will be Iono out on the women's, there she is, and Albon Levier in the men's. So there we see Fanny Gibert. We didn't see a huge amount of her. Remember, we're taking our pictures today from Japanese TV, but she quietly got on with it, and that's 3 flashes for her, leads away. And a clean sweep, 4 tops. Tase Ishimatsu leading the way from Tomoa Narasaki. Tomoa out on men's 4.
The leaders in this event at the moment are looking very dominant, quite a lot further ahead than everybody else right now.
Seems to be the way, yeah. Fanny Gibert, she was my tip for a final in Nanjing. Didn't quite deliver there, but seems to be getting on very well with these boulders here in Hachioji-Tokyo.
Definitely looking promising for today for her.
It certainly is. So we can see our split screen again. Comment from Margaret Axelrod. She says the fixed cameras are sweet. Can we have them at every comp? I'll answer in just a second as we see a top from Aya on women's 1. Yeah, unfortunately we can't have the fixed cameras every week in answer to your question, Margaret, because this week, as I've mentioned, we're taking our pictures from Japanese TV, and therefore we don't need all our cameras at this event. And we've got 2 spare to bring in the fixed screens. We will try to do it when we're able to access other cameras, but can't promise. I'm sorry, we only have so many cameras. When we take a feed, it's easy because all our cameras are sitting dormant. When we're using our own equipment, just limited on resources, but we'll try. I agree, it's great to have that extra view. We'll try our best. Thank you for the question. Don't forget, you can get in touch. Hashtag IFSCWC on Twitter if you've got any questions for myself or Orin. Orin, you climbed here yesterday. You were pretty happy with your round, weren't you?
Yeah, I had tough time in China. It's the longest I've been away for any of the World Cup series, and the first time I've done it in a couple of years. But I felt like I did what I could for a change, rather than lots of almosts and maybes.
I guess that's the thing, as long as you feel you couldn't have done any better, you don't mind so much what the result is.
Yeah, I mean, you could always do better, I think, but there's times when you know you really did try as hard as you can. And the thing with competitions, it's who's the most perfect on the day as well. Obviously the best often win and do well, but all you need to do is do it right. It doesn't matter if you're not the strongest or the most dynamic. As long as you do things right, you can beat anybody, really.
Let's have a look for Kora Fuji. That was a move he was always going to enjoy. Earlier this week we went to the B Pump gym where Koro does some work and some training. Extraordinary facility.
Sorry.
Now again, check out the IFSC Facebook page for that. I'm giving the Facebook page a good plug today. But yeah, we managed to chat to many of the World Cup athletes as they trained at B Pump. Amazing move there from Tomoe Naosaki. I'm used to his dynamic style, but that was another level.
He's not liking that foothold though.
Not at all. We've seen Manuel Cornu and Gabriele Moroni swap hands while standing on that foothold, but Tomoe not getting on with it. I wonder, knowing his style, if he'll just jump from here. He will, unsuccessfully.
So my first thought looking at men's 2 here when I came and saw it was, oh, is it a hand jam?
Yeah, me too, but it's just too wide, I think.
Yeah, they're popping up in so many competitions. I mean, everyone saw it in the Quiff earlier this season, and in a lot of the British events it's coming up more and more. They just know we all struggle with it, I suppose. It's a good way to confuse people.
So here's Albon. Albon Levier, not seen him at every World Cup semi at this stage. He's not getting on with men's 1. Petra, if she is carrying an injury to that elbow, you wouldn't have thought that's an easy move for it, pushing so hard, but seemingly untroubled and takes the top women's 2. Tomoe, we just cut to him. And Anna's out of time as well. We just confirmed Tomoe's score for you, now he's done. So here's Jeremy Bonnet, the last of the French male athletes today. He's out onto men's 1. Meanwhile, Monica Recchi also out. Monica 10th and 15th in the 2 Chinese World Cups. She was 2nd last year in Navi Mumbai in India. So, potential finalist for sure. Seems to be getting on very well with the Asian tour.
It's quite hard to pick who you think is going to make finals today. Everyone seems to be doing so well throughout the whole weekend. It's a whole nother game since we've gotten here.
So Jeremy Bondo just inching that left foot at the left-hand side of that volume. He's got his right foot on that he just kissed with his left toe. He's absolutely useless. 0 friction at all. Chloe Collier inching away, just trying to figure out how to launch for the jump. This is the jump move that we saw Jane Kim attempting several times earlier. Just to confirm, we only just cut to him at the last second. Tomoe Naosaki didn't top men's 4. He's got 3 tops in 5 attempts. He's currently sitting in 2nd place.
So close for Chloe there.
Jakob Schubert battling his way up men's 2. As you said, initially your first thought is hand jam. It's actually not. Perhaps true, I was just about to say, perhaps 2 connoisseurs of jamming might be able to jam it, as we just saw Monica Recchi in the foreground there. Not getting on with women's 2 as yet. Women's 1, sorry. Top from Jakob, top from Nicola. Yeah, that hand jam crack, maybe if you're a true granite gritstone monster, you might be able to get an elbow a whole arm jam in there, but it's certainly not a hand jam.
I mean, maybe if Tom Randall decided he wanted to do some Bouldering World Cups, he'd try and jam it. But
where's Alex Honnold and Tom Randall when you need it?
I can't think of many comp climbers who are particularly keen on that style. It's a bit painful for us.
Here's Sol Sao, women's 4. She topped women's 1, second go. She's currently sitting in 5th place. This would put her in a strong position. This would put her in a very early second with 2 tops behind Fanny Gibert, who's got 3, all of them flashes. So this would be a great result for Sol Sao. As things stand, she is in 5th place, which is good enough for the final, but with so many climbers still to come, you would imagine she won't stay there unless she can top this.
See, these volumes are all really delicate. It's the slightest slip and you're just off them. You feel that there is friction there, but it's not as much as you really want. And the same on these ones for men's 1 that we just saw the top of. It's kind of like a dual texture volume, but instead of it being with just polished hold, it's wood. So you're kind of climbing on a mix between the PU holds and the wooden hold. So you can actually hold it, which just feels quite unusual, really.
We're just keeping an eye on Chloe Collier. No, not got the jump this time. They're the kind of volumes where you feel super solid and then you just move one limb ever so slightly and suddenly you're off.
Yeah, so if you move just a bit much, they feel awful. I mean, we had them on the men's 1 qualifiers, and you grab the PU side of the hold and it feels so sticky, and then your thumb or your palm goes onto the wooden side and it's like it's there, but you don't want to move. If you do, you feel like the slightest little slip or sweat and it's just there's nothing then and you're just going to be off.
Great close-up there from Monica Recchi of that right hand. We were talking about it with Chris Danielson. Tiny little hold. I have to say, it hasn't looked tiny from the way the climbers use it. Monica has got the top with one hand, but it's not an amazing hold. She's going to need to use her feet and can't find a way. Chloe Collier also, no top. Women's 2. You can see over on the left-hand side of the stage, Tyler Landman is out of time. Just seeing their collected scorecard. 2 very interesting climbers here for different reasons. Stasha on the left. She's looked really good here in Asia. Didn't quite make it in Nanjing, but 2 finals, including in Chongqing, the first event of the Asian Tour, and also in Meiringen. And I think she had a really good training this week. And then on the right, Alex Kazanov, Israel, a familiar face on the live stream, but his first semi-final of 2017.
I think everyone here is quite psyched for him to have made it through and in such a high position.
Yeah, he was 3rd in his qualification group.
Yeah, he absolutely smashed it. He had that set that suits him, and it goes to show being so high up. I mean, he's one of those people who works hard. He lives for the climbing. That's his life. He's been training really hard up to this, and ever since we've got to Japan, he's been training and hanging out with everyone. He loves it all. So it's really cool to just see him do so well now. I think we're all rooting for him to have a good round today.
Yeah, Alex was possibly the happiest person in Tokyo yesterday. He came down off the wall and I said, how was it? And I got this sort of machine gun rapid run through of every boulder, and then I got this left hold and then I moved the right, and it was amazing. And he was pretty happy.
Yeah.
There's Albon topping men's 2. Also, just quickly on Alex, quite amusingly, he said he was about to fall off on men's 3, and suddenly he heard the unmistakable voice of Alexei Rubtsov screaming at him to go for it. And he said he was just so scared of Alexei in that moment that he just grabbed the next hold and somehow didn't fall off.
You would be.
So he's got Alexei Rubtsov to thank. He just got this massive Russian power scream from the front row of the crowd. And it just was enough to keep him on.
I mean, maybe that's what everyone needs.
Okay, to last week's winner, Joy and men's threes. Close though. Alma Bestmaster just trying to inch her way right on women's 4. Petra Klingler, meanwhile, we see her on women's 3. She's top number 2. Aya, women's 2. Heading right once she gets that hold, which is the bonus. She'll then line up for the jump. Hopefully at home you're beginning to get to know these boulders slightly. Roughly halfway through this semi-final here. We've had more than half the climbers on the stage so far. About time-wise, just over halfway. Plenty of tops so far. We might be about to see another one from Stasha, tantalisingly close. Actually, even through my headphones, heard her shout as she fell. Alex Kazanov also not getting on men's 1. Plenty of time though, over a minute and a half left. Petra, women's 3. It's a full stage. Keita, men's 3.
There's an incredible jump by Petra there. Sneaking her way up.
Tsukikura Fuji as well, just bottom left of your screen, lining up for another go on men's 4. Keep an eye on Petra, just resets the right hand. So the inside of that volcano hold is good. We've seen pretty much everyone top out from here. She's got a minute left, no rush at all. Goes to the left and the right.
And the top for Keita.
Good top for Keita. A few people backing him to have another good week here after a win in Nanjing. Generally felt that that was not a one-off. He's certainly a man capable of at least finals, at least podium, and possibly a back-to-back win here in Tokyo. IFSC photographer Eddie, always pretty good with the predictions, and he's I think Keita can make it 2 in 2 weeks. We shall see. Here's Alex, just work his way across. He's not going to get men's 1. I actually ran into Alex and Alexei on the metro today on the way to the venue, and both in pretty good spirits. Alexei, by his competition standards, when he's normally very quiet, very upbeat, very positive, really enjoying the Japanese experience. So, here's the updated results. Fanny Gibes still leading the way. Petra Klingler with an opportunity to make it 3 tops when she comes out for women's 4. Kerry Collier, also a good start for her, 2 tops. And it's all Japan top 3 as things stand, and then all France 4 and 5. Yukora Fuji in 6th place. You wouldn't imagine that'll be enough when you look at the calibre of climbers still to come. Remember, 6 climbers go through to the final.
In this whole season, everyone's been talking about how dominant Japan has been, but I mean, looking at the scores then, there's so many of the French doing amazing today. They're really up there.
And another really interesting feature is that in Team Japan, it's not been the same faces. Kokura won in Meiringen, and you'd have to say it'd be a miracle if he even makes the final here. 6th place, probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're all crazy good. It's hard to work out how they just train hard and go for it, I suppose.
Yeah, lots of talk yesterday with Takako, their coach, about the culture of Japanese climbing, the sharing of information.
I found that interview quite inspiring, actually. I really like the idea of constantly improving, aiming for that. I mean, I suppose we all here as athletes do want to do that. We all want to be constantly improving and giving it our all the time, but it's not that that's our culture. It's not the way things are, it's just kind of how we want to be. So it's quite interesting to see that that's actually what they live for. That is their life.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, actually. It's something you hear from athletes in all sports, really. I always want to get better, but it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to carry it through. That's the top from Jakov, that's men's 3.
He looked happy with that.
Yeah, fully recovered from his illness. Had some quite a bad stomach for much of China. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's one thing to say I want to constantly improve, but it's, as you say, it's an interesting aspect of Japanese culture that it is in the culture to always improve. It's expected that whatever your job, whatever your your place in society, you're expected to get better and better.
Definitely. I mean, it's one thing to want to do something, it's another thing to live for that thing. They're totally different things, really. Tai, again, not looking too keen with that foothold.
Yeah, we saw Tomoa not keen on it, and Tomoa didn't top this boulder.
I mean, being Tai, he might pull off anything, so... It's good setting. Oh.
2 minutes left, he's got some time.
It looked like his foot might have just slipped as he went for the jump there, which is unfortunate.
Just to let you know, we have got updated scores. Kokoro Fuji already out of the final 7th place. It was never really going to be enough, even when he was sitting in 6th. And he is out 7th. And he's attempted all 4 boulders, so no Kokoro Fuji. Here you go, keep an eye top of your screen. Here's the updated scores. Fanny Gibert still sitting pretty. I've been tipping her for a final for a while, and it's a pretty good way to deliver. 3 flashes. Tomoa Narasaki.
May clearly heard my advice earlier there.
They're not allowed to listen to us.
Maybe I was too loud.
So there you can see, I just mentioned it, Kokoro Fuji on the top of your screen, 7th place, 2 tops, 4 attempts. For those of you watching bouldering for the first time, it's a 4-tiered scoring system. The most important measurement is how many of the boulders the climbers top. If they're tied on tops, it comes down to how many attempts it took to get those tops. If they're still tied, it comes down to who got the most bonus holds. And if it's still tied, it's who took the fewest attempts to get those bonus holds. Bonus hold clearly marked on each bonus. You can see it there by Tyler Landman's left knee with a gold circle that says bonus and a piece of tape denoting the bonus hold. It's a 4-tiered scoring system, 4 ways of separating tied climbers.
Something some people might have noticed in the last few rounds that there's been a few issues with is which is the bonus or the top hold as well. And some people saying it's down to the route setters and it's their fault, but it's one of those things as an athlete, it's our job to know what we're trying to do. We need to know which of the holds we've got to get and how to get it. So if you see that piece of tape going to the hold, it's the hold. So like the bonus hold where her foot is there, it's just missing out on the top there. But the bonus is the hold on the volume, not the volume, because the tape comes across, and a few people have been missing that recently, which has led to some heartbreak the last few rounds.
Yeah, I mean, Miho Nanaka last week in Nanjing jumps out as the most recent example, but I agree with you. I think it's, in a way, it's the athlete's responsibility, and the person I always point to of how to do it is Shauna Coxey. She puts both hands on the top, she turns and she looks at the judge.
Yeah.
If you do that, you can't go wrong.
I mean, after one of my first World Cups a few years ago, or no, it might have been the British Championships, I got a bit of a grilling from her because I topped a climb, and before I even matched, I'd sort of cheered and had a bit of a fist pump, and then I matched, and luckily I was fine and I got it. Then afterwards, she wasn't too impressed with it. It's like, don't do that. And
I can well believe that. But
yeah,
it has been something that's come up, but I have to say I'm on the side of the route setters. I think it's the athlete's responsibility to figure out where the top hold is, and also look at the judges. The judges are sitting there when you get the top, they raise a hand. You see Shauna Coxey, we'll see her shortly in this semi-final. The first thing she does is she turns and looks at the judge.
I mean,
and
Shauna
it's the way to do it.
Shauna and her training partner Leah, they're both really good for knowing what they're doing and how to do things right. If they've top from Alexi there,
and a look at the judge,
and yeah, again they heard us. It's a conspiracy. But yeah, they know what they're doing and they know how to do it right. They're confident. They make sure everything's done correctly.
Well, I mean, it is really the most ridiculous reason not to get the result you deserve, because you were busy slapping the hold or fist pumping, or you didn't check which one the top hold was. It is a ridiculous reason not to get your correct result.
Yeah, like everyone was quite heartbroken for Miho last weekend when she didn't properly match the finishing hold, and she must know it as well. Like, it was her fault. It sucks, and we do want her to get the top, but rules are rules. And if it wasn't like that, everything could be so different. and it just wouldn't be the same, really.
And going down the road of being too flexible is also, with rules and what constitutes a top, is also quite a dangerous thing to start doing.
I mean, if you give it for one person, you have to start doing it for everybody, and it just creates more issues for everybody then.
Let's have a look. Alex Kazanov, he's fighting on men's 2.
Getting his foot stuck in there. Getting there though.
Come on, Alex.
Keep pushing.
It would be a popular result if he was to do well here today. He's looking good. You can see how hard he's fighting. That's a top. Didn't look at the judge, but it was
he'll be happy with that.
Pretty solid top. Questions coming through on Twitter. We'll just keep an eye on Petra. No, on number 4. Before we talk questions on Twitter, we'll just have a look where Petra stands. Currently in second, 2 tops. She topped 2 and 3. Boulders 2 and 3. That was not 2 in 3. And she's got a minute and a half to do women's 4. Question from Twitter. Christopher wants to know, are there regulations for climbing shoes in World Cups?
Not that I can think of. I mean, a lot of the climbers, everyone's sponsored really. We've all got shoes from our sponsors or various companies.
Top from Stasher, women's 2.
Yeah, I mean, even some people modify their shoes to some degree. I mean, if you ever have a look at Shauna's shoes, she's got those the blue 510s. I can't remember their exact name now. Someone will probably correct me on that. And they don't have a rubber patch on the top, but she's managed to put one on there, and I think it's something 510 are looking into doing now, from what I've heard, because it seems to be working really well for them. And yeah, I don't think there's really any regulations. It's just, I mean, they're climbing shoes really. If you start putting super sticky glue that doesn't dry, maybe someone will complain.
Yeah, I think they might draw the line at wood glue.
There we go.
Top for Keita.
Seem pretty chuffed with that.
Try and keep you up to date with the scores. Really getting to the business end of this semi-final where final place is decided. Michaela Tracy, didn't see much of her, but no top on women's 1. Question from Fizz on Twitter. Like to know where holes from the different World Cups come from. Well, it's a combination. Some are bought. Sometimes route setters might provide their own. We see Lauren Laporte, he brings his own cheetah holds to World Cups and provides them. So a variety of sources. I was saying earlier though, I've never seen as many hold manufacturers, different types, different shapes, different brands in one World Cup here in Tokyo. Before the setters began their work earlier this week, the hall was basically full of holds laid out. It was a massive selection for them to work from.
The holds in this event have been my favourite so far this year. There's so many cool different holds and ones I've never seen before. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's been a pretty fantastic event. Tickets were sold out 2 days before, and apparently fans were waiting outside the entrance at 4 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
So I'm told.
That's pretty eager.
Yeah, it's been incredibly well supported. I mean, Kazo was a big success last year, but it seems like support for the Japanese team and interest in climbing just going through the roof. And they'll have another top to cheer. Men's 2. Nicely done, Rei Sugimoto.
The crowd is loving them.
Just keep you up to date. Keito Wanatabe is out on men's 1. Yannick Garnbrett, familiar figure, was out on women's 1. Already back in.
Nearly slipped off there by Jakob.
Pure shoulder power from Jakob. It's not done yet though. A lot of...
Oh, that That last move is giving a lot of people some trouble. He's not the only one there.
He seemed in good spirits yesterday, Jakob. Seemed to enjoy the round. Feels good here in Tokyo. Training went well. He'll get that move, you'd imagine.
I think everyone's training's gone well since we've got here. Their climbing walls are absolutely incredible. This is my first time coming to Japan, and I definitely need to come back just to climb on their walls, let alone explore the rest of the country. I've never seen as good a hold selection as I did at Bipom.
Top of your screen, you can see the results coming through. So Petra didn't get women's 4, but she's currently in second place. Fanny Gibert leading the way, 3 tops, all of them flashes.
Kato's finding his way up towards the last hold, hopefully.
You can see there as well, 5th place Jakob Schubert. If he can get men's 4, he really will be in a strong position. So far, it's all Japan in the 3 tops or more club. Keita Watabe, 4 tops. He's leading the way in the semi-final so far. Teisei Ishimatsu in second place with 3 tops. Tomoe Narasaki also 3 tops. Jakob can make it 3 tops if he can get this. Lines it up, goes with the left hand. Will he try and swap the feet again? No, he palms.
What's he going to do?
I think it could be another heartbreaker. No, he somehow stays on.
That is looking really hard on his shoulders there. But he found it. He'll be happy with that.
Gets it.
Could see him through, maybe.
That should put him in 4th place as things stand. Come down to attempts. Hashtag IFSCWC if you have got any questions. We've got more coming through. Apologies, we're not quite keeping up with the questions. So many athletes on the stage at the same time here. Had a question from Miss Merck about whether Oren had enjoyed the climbing gyms in Tokyo. I think the fact that you said you'd probably come back specially answers that one.
Definitely.
Gemily Freet, another question. Is just keep an eye on Chloe Collier.
Looks like she's found a screw hole there in the volume to get her fingers into.
This is a move Chris Danielson was talking about earlier, how you've got to stay a bit further right before you commit, but Chloe out of time. Yeah, good question, Gemily Freet. Do you have any idea when Ashima Shireshi will start joining the IFSC World Cups? Possibly we might see her in Vale, although the start list hasn't been finalised yet.
Rumour has it from the all-knowing Eddie from the Circuit magazine is she's going to be looking into doing some of the lead climbing events this year. But for her age and size and style as well, it sounds like she's going to be more keen or better catered to doing the lead for a little while still. Having quite a static style. I mean, you've seen plenty of jumps in these events this year already. I mean, I've personally not watched her climb as much as some others, but Janja making this look easy, as usual.
We'll try to get hold of one of our technical team. According to our start list, Janja should have been out 17th. There's been a change in the order somehow, because we've got Yoshiyuki Ogata climbing 18th on men's one, but on women's one we've got Janja Garnbrett. We will find one of the judges or our management team here at the venue. We'll find out what's happened to the order. In the meantime, good question about Ashima Shireshi. It's certainly a climber that a lot of people are very excited about seeing in senior competition. You might remember if you watched our coverage from the Youth World Championships in Guangzhou. It was utterly dominant there. Albon going for the top men's 4.
He's got that thumb. Not quite enough for the top there though, I think. No.
Just trying to find out about the order here. In the meantime, we can watch Janja in action.
It almost looks like she's holding on to nothing there with her right hand.
It's not a great hold. It's good enough though. Still not in the bag, the top. It is now. I look to the judge. There we go. No problem for Janja, back in.
I think that might have been second attempt for her there.
We'll let you know as the scores update. We do have someone on the case. So we were expecting to see Janja earlier, and I said I assumed she was already back in. She obviously hadn't come out for her designated slot. We'll find out. Alex Kazanov close on men's 3. It was great as well for Alex, because often you can talk to him after a qualifying round and he says, yeah, I know I was strong, I should have done number 3. He often seems like he almost did well, but then something went wrong. It was great to see him when everything went right. It feels like it's been coming for him.
Yeah, definitely. It's a long-waited thing for him, just to do that well, really.
I mentioned I saw him earlier on the Metro, and I said, asked him what he'd do, because he's climbing 15th, so he's got quite a long wait in isolation. And he said, I'd just chill out for a bit, watch what everyone's doing. He came out with a good line. Even when he's not here, he's got the good one-liners. He said, you don't want to be king of the warm-up wall. There's no point showing off how strong you are on the warm-up wall. And he said sometimes that's something he has done. He's hit the warm-up wall and just wanted to crush it, and almost gone too hard in warm-up. So trying to learn his lesson today.
A lot of people, you see them and they just go and they'll have a session on the warm-up wall beforehand. It's like a good climbing session. It's like, oh, wait, I'm tired now. It's one of those things you start to learn more. And I mean, I struggle to know how much to do if maybe I don't do enough sometimes. It's a very different environment coming from, say, doing your nationals. Top for Stasa there. Yeah, it's very different from coming and doing your own country's nationals, feeling really confident with what you're doing, and then rocking up to a warm-up in the world stage, and you're suddenly like, oh god, everyone's really good here. It can be quite intimidating.
Do you kind of feel under pressure to do things that you don't normally do, so you look strong in front of the climbers? I know you're not bothered about impressing people, but do you feel pressure to match them or to warm up like them?
I mean, maybe. I personally, I get quite nervous and anxious about the whole thing, so I almost don't do as much because of that. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong, but who knows?
You're not going too far wrong. Good day yesterday.
Good enough for me.
Interestingly, you were higher in the group than Sean McCall. He's a climber who's not getting on with 2017 at all. I know a few people have been missing seeing Sean at this stage of the competition.
Yeah,
another bad day for him yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, some people had great days, and then some people again had struggled. I mean, Sean is a good example of that, and then Nathan Phillips from the British team as well. He, having made semi-finals last weekend to yesterday, it was just one of those days. He just wasn't on it as much. When, I mean, we all know he was more than capable of doing most of those blocks. He just, like I said earlier, who's most perfect on the day. That's comp climbing.
Rei Sugimoto close on men's 3, 4 minutes to go. Plenty of time for further attempts. As Monica Recci closest to the screen. Nicely done. Look of concentration in her eyes, and she'll need it on women's 4. Monica, no tops on the first 3 boulders. So Takuru Hori, wearing number 3, the highest placed Japanese qualifier. No mean feat. You look at the competition, and on the left there, Kiyo Noguchi, the familiar figure. Another good day for her. Shumi Bonda in the background there, men's 4. Topped number 1 and number 2. 3 tops would move him into the top 6 as it stands. Move him into 5th place depending on attempts. Almost certainly 5th place.
Looks like Monica's slowly finding her way around that corner there.
Looks like Ray is very close on men's 3 as well. Let's have a look at Akio, women's 1. Lovely smooth style. Expect nothing less.
I mean, we didn't see her earlier on this climb, but just then, for instance, she didn't grab the bonus hold with her hand from what we could see. So if that was true, unless she got the top, she wouldn't have got the points of the bonus at all.
Top for Akio. Time for a quick question. Hashtag IFSCWC. Got any questions? Tori wants to know, do the route setters travel with the event, or are they from each individual host location? They are always so varied. Good question, Tori. In a combination of the two, I would say there's almost always local route setters involved, but often experienced IFSC route setters will travel and work with local route setters. So here we've got a seven-member route setting team, if my memory serves me right. 4 strong Japanese route setters, and then 3 Europeans, 2 Americans, 1 European. Lolo Laporte, 2 Americans. Chris Danielson, who was here earlier, and Ian McIntosh. So generally it's a mix of local and international setters. So
Kato finding his way up those volumes.
Good fight from Kato. Just needs to set the right foot. Nicely done. Uses the heel. Claims the top.
I think it'd be fair to say everyone who's gotten up that so far, no one's looked like it's easy. It looks hard.
It's a battle.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That's 1 minute to go on this rotation. See the stage, certainly the right hand side of it relatively empty. Jeremy Bondi looking to move into 5th place, currently 9th. Pretty sure that due to attempts he won't overtake Jakob Schubert in 4th or Tomohiro Narasaki in 3rd. Will almost certainly be 5th for him if he tops this.
Looks like he's about to go for it.
I think he's going to be out of time, and that would leave him in 9th. Not enough for a semi-final spot, so Ray.
Heartbreak for Ray there. He knows there's not enough time for another attempt as well.
It's Kuru Hori. No joy either on men's 1. Been an interesting one, men's 1. Seems like climbers have either got it early on or not got it at all.
I mean, it gets hot in here, climbing all the lights, all the climbers on the holds, even with the brushes cleaning the holds. These guys coming out at the end, although they are technically the better ones based on results, they're going to have a harder time almost just because of the conditions of the holds.
So we've now got Miho Nanaka out on the stage and Jongwon Chon. So Jongwon was the highest placed qualifier yesterday. So
Alex Kazanov wasting no time in getting on.
Keep it down top of your screen. We're about to get the small results. Fanny Gibes still leading the way. Great day for her. Petra, 2nd place. Only the 2 tops though, and you look at Miho and Shauna still to come. Still to even start in Shauna's case. Petra in 2nd. So with 2 tops, hope it's enough. Yoshiyuki Ogata and Alexei Rubtsov topping men's 3.
It's looking like he's got a bit of a shoulder injury there.
Yeah, again, ran into Alexei with Alex this morning. He's very intense over a competition weekend, Alexei, but by his standards, relatively light-hearted this morning. Maybe the Alex's boundless enthusiasm rubbing off on him.
Yeah.
Seemed relatively chatty, but very much got his game face on now. Miho Nanaka, home crowd cheering on. Just didn't quite get that right hand set before she launched off left.
Yanya's just flying at women's 2 there that you can just see.
No problem for Yanya, heads back in. Another good question on Twitter. Nathan Crow, can someone make a compilation of Meiko Taki's falls over the years? Her try-hard attitude makes them always the best. I agree. She had a tough set of boulders for a short climber like her in Nanjing last week. Never be accused of a lack of effort.
No. I think I'd be more keen to see a compilation of Yanya's falls. She has a habit of landing on her face a lot, which you might see.
She had a couple of near misses in Chongqing and Meiringen.
Yeah, I mean, my friend Nathan, who's also on the British team, his theory is I'm not trying hard if I'm landing on my feet.
Yeah, it's a good theory.
Yeah, I mean, if you're giving it your all, there's no way you're going to land on your feet. You're just going to fly everywhere or get to the top. So she must be trying pretty hard by that logic.
It's actually old Eddie of the circuit climbing, and IFSC photographer's getting lots of shout outs today, but I was having a good chat with him watching the qualifiers yesterday, and we would just have a double check. We got a top here. Yoshiyuki, yep, gets it. We were chatting yesterday, and I was saying one of the key differences between me, a normal climber, and people operating at the top end of World Cups is they do not let go. Whereas I might try a boulder and think, I don't think that's the right beater. I'll jump back on the mat, have another look, and try again. Or, ooh, that's hurt my shoulder. I might jump off and wobble my shoulder for 5 minutes and then try again. When you see these guys climb at this level, it's like going to war. They only fall off when they're just absolutely done. And I think that's one of the key differences between workout competitors and recreational climbers.
I mean, I do a lot of coaching at the wall I work at back home, and it's one of the things I really try to get across to the youth team there is, like, you've got to really try hard, and it's a difficult thing to teach, to know how to try hard, but you're right, that is the difference between some of the best climbers and your recreational climbers. A lot of people don't really understand what it means to try your hardest and give it everything your body actually has to give until it just can't anymore.
Another climber never accused of a lack of effort. Stasha, 19 seconds ago. I think she's just having a last look at the boulder. I don't think she'll have a last attempt. Yeah, just rueful look. Oh no, she will have another go.
She wants that bonus.
She does want the bonus now.
But that sort of slab, it's not the one you can rush.
Apologies if it just disappeared there. We were just trying to figure out whether there was an incident where we didn't have a female climber for one round, or had a male climber drop out. I don't remember any of the male climbers not appearing. We'll keep you informed. Shauna Coxey climbing on her own. We've got people working on it, trying to find out. In the meantime, another good question on Twitter. Twitter, you are excelling yourself today. Well, I will ask it in just a second as we keep an eye on Sakaru Hori.
That was really smooth there. Looked relaxed through that move.
And he gets the top. Yeah, question, just keep an eye on Shauna. She looked in great form yesterday. Qualified first. see Aki Noguchi on women's 2. No problem reaching the hold. Just a case of latching it. There we go. And again, in all the celebrating and pumping, don't forget to match, don't forget to check.
I mean, the Japanese team must be feeling pretty good right now. It's something special to be competing in your home country with your home crowd, everyone there. You know, everyone here wants you to win and do well. So they've got that adrenaline, that extra buzz just helping them up. It does a lot for you.
Okay, so we managed to track down while we're just slightly out of sync. There was a technical incident with one of the female climbers. She had to climb again, so that meant that the women got 1 round behind, which is... So we have had all the climbers. Nobody's dropped out from the men's draw. I thought we'd seen everyone. There was a technical incident. One of the female athletes asked to climb again. I'm afraid we've only got partial information. I can't tell you who it was, but I can tell you we do have all 20 female athletes and all 20 male athletes taking part. We are watching the screen the same as you guys at home, so we don't always see everything that goes on all 8 boulders. But all the climbers taking part. Technical incident, so the women just out of sync, and it means Shauna Cox will be climbing all on her lonesome, and the starting list won't quite be right, so we won't see Takuru Hori alongside Miho Nanaka and Shauna Cox alongside John Won Chon. They'll be slightly mixed up, but all the climbers taking part. Technical incidents on the women's side of the draw. So Shauna Cox.
It's a crazy spin by her there. Might be her last attempt here.
You've got to say it would be a massive surprise if she didn't make it. She's had a couple of wobbles in the heat in China, but not when it came to final time. She's always done just about enough.
Yeah, and see the match. There we go, a top for Shauna.
And we were talking earlier about how she looked at the judges. She didn't that time. I think she knew there was not much wrong with that one, and also didn't want to turn her head from the position she was in.
I mean, watching Shauna climb sometimes, it seems like she, even after she's warmed up and she's on the comp wall, she has to warm up into that maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean, actually. Has to warm up to the being in front of the crowd and the comp.
Yeah. Top just in time.
So we've seen all the climbers now. Everyone's been out in both men's and women's. And, another question. Hayashi Tekt. Do you think there are different styles of climbing in Japanese gyms compared to what you find in Europe?
From what I've seen so far, yeah. I mean, using B Pump as an example there, they're getting a lot of advertisement today. Every hold was like the sort of holds you'd see in a World Cup. There were some crimps, but there was lots of very big, volume-esque type holds. It's a whole body experience of climbing. It's just going for a normal training session there. It felt like you were doing a World Cup, just because all the climbs were like that. Even some of the easier ones were that style, and I mean, that's my favourite style to try and climb on, but it's very different. And we had a visit to base camp as well, and again, it was a different style to, say, the walls in Britain. There were lots of holds everywhere of different colours, there was tape everywhere. It took us a little while to figure out what climbs were there. It's different, and everyone there is really strong. I mean, Shauna said the other day, she asked Yuji at his wall once how many climbers climb at his wall who have done V15. He was like, I don't know, maybe 15. And it's like, what? And we were then having this discussion of, well, how many British people have actually climbed V15? And we didn't know. We could think of maybe 2 or 3. It's probably something we should have known.
That is extraordinary, though. Jenny Garnbrett top on these 3. No problem for her.
Looked at the judge as well, just to make sure, but Michaela might be finding her way up as well. She's got a try-hard face on.
Yeah, no tops for her as yet in this semi-final. She's certainly won't make the final. Minimum 2 tops required at this stage. You suspect that might change as the round goes on. This one to go home with the top from Japan. Leans right. This looks promising. Just tiny bolt on for the feet there. And she will. Her last boulder of the Asian Tour is a top.
That'll put her in a good mood now. I think
certainly will. Miho again, no problem reaching the hole, or maybe a problem reaching the hole. Look as if she initially was close enough. Didn't quite feel in balance. Just creeping the fingers on. She won't miss this. She doesn't. Yeah, it's a good point about the gym. Is the old theory that you become who you hang out with. It seems to work for Team Japan. They're very, very supportive and, as you say, incredibly strong. Even amongst people we don't see on their team, you've got 15 people that climb in your wall that have climbed V15.
I mean,
that's a high standard to be training in.
I'm quite a strong believer in you need to literally set the standard. So if walls don't set things hard enough, people will never get that good because they don't know what that level is, or they'll never see what that level is. So climbers can't improve unless the gyms let them improve by giving them the capability, the problems, the possibility to improve.
Even if you walk in and you're daunted by the boulders, at least you know that's where you've got to be.
I mean, a lot of centres, especially in Britain, they don't want to put all the harder climbs up because it's seen as a waste of space and time, which maybe that's true, and more people will go on the easier things, but they will never try the harder things if they're never there for them. Everybody wants to try something hard once, even if they have no chance in ever getting it.
Well, you see it at the end of World Cups. I mean, it depends on the venue's approach to security and where the public can and can't go. But in some World Cups, the public can roam all over the mats, and you can have a go at these boulders at the end. And the mats are full of people desperate just to try and get off the floor on these boulders. It's inspiring.
I mean, you might have seen in Chongqing after the finals, all the athletes just ran onto the mats and started touching holds. I mean, everyone got kicked off quickly after that, but we're all there looking at the holds, some even trying the climbs. You want to know, you want to feel it and see it. You can't, like I said, you'll never be able to get good if you never try or see these hard things. They've got to be there for you, which I think is partially why a lot of the Japanese are perhaps so good, because they've got these incredibly hard, difficult climbs just in their gym. I mean, there was one in B-Pump that everybody looked at and just laughed because we all thought, wow, that's just crazy. No way.
But it's there. And if you train there regularly, you keep trying it, it might become possible. It's an interesting point you make. More good questions on Twitter. Charles Morland wants to know if climbing last is ever a problem. Does hold quality decay as the round goes on? Something we hear discussed a lot.
They get very hot sometimes. I mean, the stage gets warm. After you touch and hold a hold for long enough, it does start to warm up. They get sweaty. Even with the brushes there, brushing the holds. Like, these guys coming out last, in some way they have got bad luck with it, because they do have to put up with worse conditions. It's just a fact, really.
So here's Shauna Coxey out on women's 2. Good point made by the increasingly famous social media Joe. He said, I know the reason I'm not climbing V15 is because he didn't set it in my gym.
Just ask the route setter there to set you a V15. You might start climbing it.
I was about to say same goes for me, but I used to train in the same gym as Shauna Coxey when she was 11, 12 years old. And she seems to have done okay, so I'm flat out of excuses.
Maybe you need to keep training there.
Yeah, I think top from the key. I think the fact that I remember arriving and this little 11, 12-year-old girl was already 5 routes in, and when I left she still had another 5 to do, having been climbing the whole time I was there, might have made the difference. But I'll blame the setters.
Yeah, it's what we all do. It's okay. Kato finding his way up to the bonus there. Ooh, not quite enough though.
Shauna, she didn't walk up women's 1 by any means. Got it done in the end.
I mean, looking at this climb, I'd have said this would have been the sort that she'd be all over. It's a bit of technical climbing, some dynamic moves, and then a press. But I think maybe she's trying to think to 21st century about this move, going the 1-2.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, generally, Shauna's not always a big fan of the heat, and in here we've got nice controlled conditions. And but I mean, it's ridiculous to say she's having a wobble, but by her extraordinary standards of the last 18 months, she doesn't look as dominant as she has done here in Tokyo, albeit we're a boulder and a half in.
Yeah, I think she plays it very smart in these competitions. She works out how hard she needs to try and knows how much she needs to do just to make it. I mean, we can all see the scoreboards when we're climbing, and you get that occasional glance and you can see where you're at or the other people are at, and you know what you need to do. And she's very good at knowing what she needs to do. I mean, we all saw her last weekend only just scrape into finals in Nanjing, but she then goes and pulls it off in the finals because she saved all her energy. Here we go, she caught it just for the one hand instead. She'll just press this out, nice and easy.
Go on the top.
No drama.
No trouble at all. There's the check with the judge that we talked about. Yeah, I mean, we're clutching at straws looking for weaknesses in Shauna Coxey when the fact it takes her a few attempts to get 2 tops from 2 is a wobble.
I mean, the first event in Switzerland this year, it didn't really look like she was competing. It looked like she was just dominating really in that one. And I mean, it's good to see Janja give us some competition in the last few rounds as well. But it's been quite an interesting development watching her in the last year and 2.
Another question on Twitter. Keep it coming. Hashtag IFSCWC. As I say, if you're up in Europe, good effort. You have my respect. Gemli Freet is becoming quite a regular contributor now I know how to say his Twitter name. So hold on, we'll come back in just a second. Kaito Wanatabe lining it up on men's 4. Not going to make the final. 1 top for him today. Yeah, Gemli Freet says... I am coming to your question, Gemli Freet. Just keep an eye on your screen for your results. There we go. Fanny Gbear leading the way, 3 tops. And she will make the final because there's only 4 climbers still climbing. So the worst she can end up in is 5th. So Fanny makes the final lower down. Men's results. Keita Watabe. 4 tops. Clean sweep for him. And Lexi Rubsov, 3rd. And 2nd, sorry. Bring the full results later on. Keep you up to date as best we can. Okay, Gemli Freet, I'm sorry, I've been trying to come to your point. He makes a good point that we were talking about how athletes just never let go and just fight till the end. He does point out they have less chance of injuring themselves trying hard because of how fit they are. It's a fair point.
Yeah, it helps really.
But it is also a mentality that you fight. But no, it's a fair point. And also a question from Laura Hecht. She asked earlier, and I blanked it, but I can't blank it when she asked the second time. She still wants to know if I'm in the fantasy IFSC league where you predict your winners and everything is done under a pseudonym so no one knows who's actually running what team. I'd leave you guessing, Laura. Who knows? Although if you listen regularly, you'll know my predictions are generally pretty far off the mark. I've been doing a bit better recently, but I certainly don't think I'll be winning it. Here's the deal, Laura. If I win the season, if I win the title in the Fantasy Predictions League, I'll own up. On the safe assumption I don't, you just have to guess.
A nice top for Jongwon, man.
Yeah, Jongwon looked absolutely immense yesterday. 5 flashes. Cruised it and was very happy.
Janja finds the top on women's 4.
So we're really getting to the stage where we can start solidifying positions. We'll confirm when that score comes through from Janja. Miho on women's 3. Not just yet, more than half her time left though. My apologies, it's not an official IFSC Fantasy League. It is an unofficial Fantasy League. Not sanctioned by the IFSC, but enjoyed by several people who work for the IFSC, let's put it that way. Still waiting for Yanya's result. There we go, that was a flash for Yanya on boulder 4. Her first flash of the day. So she got a clean sweep, 4 tops. She'll be in the final this evening. Just to let you know, by the way, we are splitting the finals here in Tokyo. Will be the women climbing first, they'll complete their final, and then the men afterwards. So it's a longer broadcast than normal, but you will not miss a single move. So Yanya, 4 tops, safely into the final. Fanny Gibert is safely into the final. Akio Noguchi is in the final. They're your top 3 as it stands.
Some smooth climbing by Miho there, straight up to the top. Looked far too easy for her, that go.
Have a look at the men's results now. Just waiting for them to come through. Yoshiyuki still on men's 4. I'm just looking from our commentary position. We don't have an unrestricted view of the wall, but yeah, he's on his own out there, Yoshiyuki Ogata. He's got a minute. Clock's just gone. I'll keep you up to date. He's got 45 seconds on the clock. Just had clock frozen. We are taking our feed, as I mentioned earlier, this week from Japanese TV. Not like them to have any technical issues, but I will keep you up to date to the score. 30 seconds left. IFSC athlete Oren Coley alongside me. Concentrating on Yoshiyuki.
You can see the fatigue in his face there now. He's getting tired. This is his last climb of the day.
He's got 15 seconds. We'll try and hopefully the Japanese TV can get that clock work again. They do. 10 seconds left. You see it. I don't think he'll have another go. Will he attempt the bonus? No. Let's double check if he already had the bonus in the bag at that stage. Yeah, he already had the bonus, so no point having another go. Didn't have any time, so 5 minutes starts again. The right-hand side of the wall now finished. Due to a technical incident earlier, Shauna Cox is climbing on her own, no one to keep her company. Should have had Jongwon Chon next to her. And there's Akio Noguchi. So let's have a look at the results. Akio is in 3rd place. And with Miho Nanaka and Shauna Coxey, the only climbers still to attempt number 4, Akio is already in. See it there, there's Akio, 3rd place. 3 tops from 3 boulders in 5 attempts at that stage. And then the men's competition, Keito Watabe won last week. Still the only person in today's semi-final with 4 tops. Takuru Hori, last Japanese male athlete in today's semi-final. One top for him so far. That was a flash of number 2. How can he get on with this technical and physical men's 4?
That volume his feet are on looks so big watching the footage of it there, but having used that hold in the past at other places as well, it's so rounded. There's not actually a lot to stand on there. And as well, like we've said earlier, the conditions now, they are going to get worse. It's just how it is. It's going to be greasy, chalky. It's putting your feet on that it's going to be harder to just stand on it. And you'll see all the athletes, they often bring out little towels, and it's just to clean their shoes. You don't want your shoes getting filthy standing on these sloping edges.
Speaking of shoes, actually, we're just trying to find it. Here it is. Michael Alfonso has a funny question. Has anyone's shoe ever come off in a World Cup? I don't remember it.
Everyone here probably wears their shoes ridiculously tight.
Yeah, it's not like a football boot. Pretty tight. I don't think so. It'd be another question for old Eddie, who's getting enough shout-outs to last him a lifetime today. Not much trivia he doesn't know. I'll ask him afterwards. Good question. Thanks, Michael. Question from Nick Buff, which I'll ask him. I'll ask now, and you could answer in just a second. He wants to know, do climbers watch the videos from competitions after the event? We'll just wait to see how Akio gets on.
Fighting her way up there.
This would be a fourth top for her, be a clean sweep of tops.
She needs to really get up with her legs now, otherwise this volume is just not enough to hold on to. There
really nicely set route, this number 4 for the women.
She needs to find the match now for the top.
Tiny bolt on, it'll be enough for the match.
Excellent. Yeah.
So yeah, Nick Buff, do climbers watch the video from competitions after the event?
Some definitely do. I couldn't say for everyone. I mean, I personally do if there is ever any footage of me, and I know lots of others that do. It's good for like other athletes in other sports. You have that video analysis. You can look back, watch yourself on the climb, see what you did right, what you did wrong, or maybe you just want to steal it to put it on your Instagram. But I mean, it's you often do. You want to know, you want to see. It makes you feel good.
Good question. Sakuru Hori, men's 4, Shauna Coxey on women's 3. Again, burning through the attempts.
Looks like she just needs to find a third top and she'll be safely through. But
yeah, Kia Noguchi, we'll get an updated score, confirm how many attempts that took, but she should be into second. She is. So in the women's competition, Yanya Gambret is in first place with 4 tops in 8 attempts, and matching that is Kia Noguchi, but it's actually they're only separated by bonus attempts. We talked earlier about how there's a 4-tiered scoring system, and that's why Yanya took 1 less attempt on the bonus holds. So clean sweep, 4 boulders for Yanya Gambret and Kia Noguchi. Fanny Gibert with her 3 flashes in third place. And I think that is the sight of Shauna Coxey heading off without a top on the women's 3. Just checking the results. We'll update the results and confirm if that was a top. I don't think it was for Shauna. No top for her. She flashed the bonus. Bonus on the first go. Didn't top.
So it looks like we need to see a top for her to make the finals now. Could be some drama.
Yeah, Miho Nanaka, you see her there. Just caught her on the right-hand side of the screen. She'll be in. Keep an eye. Here we go, top of the screen. So you can see the scores updating live there. Yanya Gambret leading the way ahead of Kia Noguchi in the men's competition. Keita Watabe, people were backing him to make it 2 World Cup wins in 2 weeks. He certainly got off to a good start here in the semi-final. Alexei Rubtsov will join him. Tasei Isumatsu also through to Moa Narasaki, Jakob Schubert, Mikhail Mawem, your current top 6. Let's have a look where Jongwon Chon is.
Currently in 7th.
Currently in 7th. So a top of this in any number of attempts would give him 3 tops, and that would get him into the final. So as it stands, Mikhail Mawem is in the final this afternoon here in Tokyo. He's got 2 tops, both of them flashes. That's what Jongwon Chon has. The key difference, however, is that Jongwon Chon is out on men's 4. So Jongwon doesn't need to worry about attempts. I'm not sure how up-to-date he'll be with the score. I don't know if he'll know exactly what he needs, but the maths for him, whether he knows it or not, is very, very simple. Top, he's in the final. Doesn't top, he's not.
Miho.
Had he flashed the bonus hold, it would have been enough, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Miho slowly finding her way across on this.
Yeah, just to update you on Jongwon Chon, actually, had he flashed the bonus, that would have got him through, but since it already is 2nd attempt. Let's keep you up to date. Pretty sure he didn't get the bonus first time. Could be wrong. Let's have a look. No, he didn't. So Jongwon Chon, he got the bonus on his 2nd go. Had he got it first go, he would have made it, but he didn't. And now he just needs to top it. Just.
Pressure is definitely on for him now.
It is on. He's, as I say, looked absolutely immense yesterday. Looked at his very strong best.
Definitely. I mean, he's quite an incredible climber to watch as he just gets up things, really. He figures it out. He gets up, he holds on, except for then. But
comic timing.
Yeah.
Good question from Yegor, sorry, Staselka. How many years climbing do the athletes have on average behind them before they come to World Cups? Good question. Well, Alexei Rubtsov won the World Championships after 3 years of climbing. I suspect that's the exception rather than the norm, though.
I mean, everyone's quite different, really. I mean, some have been climbing for years and years. I mean, I've been climbing myself for about 15 years now, and definitely nowhere near to the level as most of these guys up today. But it's, you just, yeah, everyone's different, train differently, develop differently, can vary, really.
Miho just inching her way outright. This would be another clean sweep of 4 tops. She'd be the 3rd climber to manage it if she can do it.
Just needs to get stood up high on her feet. No.
She's got a minute left. I mean, she's already in the final. Miho. It's 3 tops out of 3 boulders at this stage. She could make it 4 from 4. She's got a minute left to do that. Already guaranteed her place in the final. Of course, no guarantee she knows that. One person that isn't guaranteed their place in the final, Jongwon Chon, and there'll be another one out shortly, Shauna Coxey.
Gotta keep pushing up. See, got a view there of how bad the volume really is. There's not a lot to stand on.
Jongwon just figuring it out. This for a place in the final. Mikael Marwen will be watching nervously, because if Jongwon cannot do this, Mikael is in the final. And with 20 seconds to go.
I don't think that's going to be quite enough time for him to find the top. No, he's called it.
Jongwon Chon, he looked absolutely superb yesterday, and I have to say I quite fancied him for the win, but he won't be in the final. It will be Mikael Marwen. Now the pressure onto Shauna Coxey, and as if it wasn't tense enough, the DJ playing some quite hypnotic music here with a kind of a heartbeat pulse sound to it, as if she wasn't nervous enough, and
all alone on the stage.
All alone.
I mean, this is the sort of climb I'd put money on her being able to do. She's really good at the very technical slab style of climbing.
So just to keep you up to date, Yanya Garnbrett, Akina Gucci, Fanny Gilbert, Miho Nanaka and Petra Klingler, what a lineup that is. They're already guaranteed their place in the final. They're the top 5. Chloe Collier of Belgium is currently in 6th.
She's going to be sat
2 tops.
Quite nervously right now.
Just as Mikael Marwen was, now it's Chloe Collier watching on nervously. But Chloe has 2 tops in 7 attempts. Shauna has 2 tops in 8 attempts, which is why she's trailing. However, if she tops this, it'll be 3 tops, and that'll be enough to put her through in 5th place. Petra Klingler would then drop to 5th. To 6th, sorry.
I'm predicting a flash for this climb, if I'm honest. If I'm allowed to do that,
You predict away.
This is...
So, Shauna, if she gets it, that's 3 tops, and she's in 5th place. If she doesn't get it, she's out. She's all alone here in Tokyo. The eyes of a sold-out crowd on her. A flash predicted by Orin.
To get up high now.
Toe goes up right.
See how small that hold is.
It is a tiny hold.
There we go.
And Shauna does it.
I believe
she's in the final. It's as close as she's come for a while to a little wobble.
She has a habit of doing that semi-finals. We always sit here as a team for biting our nails thinking, is she actually going to make it? And of course she does, and then she wins. And she knows how to keep the crowd on edge.
So there we see it confirmed. Yanya Garnbrett and Akira Noguchi both a clean sweep, 4 tops low down. Fanny Gibert, she took 3 flashes. That sees her into the final along with Miho Nanaka, 3 tops. Shauna Coxey, we saw it right at the end, 3 tops. And Petra Klingler makes it in with 2 tops. Her 4 bonus holes, meaning that she knocks out Chloe Collier. Sasha Gao also misses out in 8th place. Michaela Tracy ended up 10th with her 1 top. Jane Kim, not a second final in a row for her, 1 top. Also with 1 top, Lily Kiesgen, Aya Ono and Sol Sa, Megan Mascarenas, Anna Stott and Francisca Sterra, and then lower down the order, Monica Recchi, Hung Ying Lee, and Mei Kotaki. She doesn't make a second final in a row. And in the men's competition, Keita Watabe, 4 tops. He won last week, on course to have a go at doing it again this week. Alexei Rubtsov and Cecily Ishimatsu are in 2nd and 3rd. Tomoa Nagasaki goes soon 4th. Jakob Schubert into the final, and Mikhail Marwemi's just walked past the commentary box and given us a big thumbs up and a fist pump. He's in 6th. Jongwon Chon does not make it, nor Nicola Pelleson, Kokoro Fuji or Jeremy Bonnet. Rei Sugimoto, Manuel Cornu, Tyler Lamb, Sakuru Horin, Alban Levier, Gabriele Maroni, Yoshiyuki Ogata, Alex Kazanov, Keita Watanabe, and David Fernenberg, the rest of your top 20. So Shauna Coxey just about makes it to the final here in Tokyo. We've got the final starting at 2:15 p.m. It will be the women first and then the men. We hope to see you then. Thanks for joining us.